Okay, welcome back. So we're continuing to explore how we're going to get piston location information. And I guess one thing we should think through is, uh, we have said repeatedly that this is the piston inside the cylinder, and the piston moves around inside the cylinder. And when we talk about piston location, someone could say, well, do you mean piston location like, is it on the ground, or is it up in the third floor office, or is it in America, or is it in Australia, which is a perfectly valid understanding of piston location. But we're not really discussing that. We're discussing piston location with a very specific point of view for what we mean by piston location. And here we can once again show you, here is a piston, and this piston has actually is being shown right now as extruded out of the cylinder. And when we talk about piston location, what we mean by piston location or location of the piston, the only thing we're talking about when we say piston location is a discussion of this concept of the extent to which the piston has moved inside the cylinder, and the piston is either in a fully extended condition or a fully retracted condition or somewhere in between. So piston location for us is a discussion of where the piston is inside the cylinder. And there's no need to keep saying the extent of retraction or extension of the piston inside the hydraulic cylinder. That's just too much. And so we're not going to do that. The other thing that we're working through is to show how we're going to get accuracy of knowledge about the location of the piston through the use of these transceivers. And the imagery gets complex enough that it's hard to see anything. And so what we've done is taken this cylinder with this line of openings in the cylinder, and we've taken this piston with this line of transceivers in the piston, and we've truncated out a lot of information that isn't necessary, that makes it hard to see things. And so now we're down to a situation where we have a little bit of the piston, which is here, moving inside of a little bit of the cylinder. And the important thing to understand with the piston is that inside the piston are the piston transceivers, and here we have piston transceiver 1 by itself, and in the piston cutout. So its name is transceiver 1 in the piston cutout, and so we just turned off its power, so it's not doing anything. Power on, or transmission of radio frequency, output on, transmission off. And so if we turn the transmission off and we go around over here and look through it, okay, we can see through the cylinder wall, we can see piston 1 in there. And if we turn piston 1 on, out comes the radio frequency energy that the piston is broadcasting. And the important thing for us to understand, and we'll turn that back off again, is that as this piston moves, if we look through that doorway in there as this piston moves, that piston is broadcasting its energy through a doorway that is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the program has a little trouble showing that, but with respect to the opening that we're showing at this beginning point, as that piston moves, the amount of space that's available for it to broadcast energy through that opening gets less and less and less as that opening gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And this is the place right here where you have a fully open doorway and you can get maximum transmission of energy from that piston transceiver through the wall of the cylinder.